Hi, my name is David Welch and I'm the owner of Shining Star Video Productions and the producer and director of this video. We're sitting here in the welding shop of Joe Lewandowski in Lake Station, Indiana. I want to introduce you to Joe, the welding instructor for this video. Joe, would you tell the viewers a little bit about your welding experience and qualifications?
Well, Dave, I have 28 years welding experience in arc welding. I'm certified through the state of Indiana in arc welding. I'm also certified in the state of Indiana in wire welding, but most of my welding procedures have been with arc welding.
Well, sounds like you're well qualified to talk about welding procedures. What type of person would find this video the most useful?
I would say the beginner welder to even the intermediate welder, the person that's just starting to learn how to weld.
What would you say would be the main things our viewers should take away after watching this video?
I would say several welding positions, procedures, types of welding rods, and safety tips.
Sounds like you're going to cover quite a bit. Depending on what you want from this video, there's different ways of watching it. The video is divided into different sections. If you are just starting to weld, you might want to watch it from the beginning where Joe talks about types of welding equipment, types of metals, safety tips, etc. If you want to watch actual demonstrations of arc welding procedures and positions, I would suggest fast-forwarding the tape to those sections to help you better understand the welding process. We use cameras with smoked glass over the lenses. This will give you a through-the-helmet view and help you to see the welding rod and puddle much better. We would suggest watching each procedure several times before actually practicing it. Well, Joe, we've got a lot of ground to cover. Are you ready to get started?
I am, Dave, if you are. Let's start our first. And this welder here has a low and high range amperage. The low range amperage is anywhere from 0 to 150 amps. And a high range from 0 to 225 amp. Depending on what kind of welding application you're going to use, you set the amperage at different levels. Now on a low range amperage, this is pretty good for anywhere from a 332 welding rod to 1/8 or even a 532 6011 rod. But on your higher range amperage, if you're going to use a 532 7024 rod or a 316 7024 rod, now, when you're ready you'd have to set your rod in. So all you got to do is open up wide enough to get the rod inside the stinger, just like that. Then you got to close it securely and make sure that that is tight in there. Make sure the rod is firmly in that stinger. Make sure you got a tight connection. In this scene, I would like to show you how to strike an arc as easy as possible using a 1/8 6011 welding rod. Normally this welding rod runs between 90 and 100 amps. But for the first time welder, it's best to turn your welding machine up a little hotter because it's easier to strike an arc and to run that welding bead. I would also point out as I weld the ripples of the weld and show you the welding puddle itself. Now let's begin. When you're running this welding rod, you want to weave it back and forth like I'm doing right here. Right there is your welding puddle. It's in back of the arc. That's your welding puddle. That's going to be your actual weld. Now right up here where that bright light is, the whiter color light, that's your arc of the weld. In back of it is your welding puddle. And when you're running this kind of rod, 6011, you want to weave it back and forth. It gives a nice welding appearance and you get nice ripples in the weld. Like I say, keep your tack weld as small as possible. Okay. There's the other side of the plate. In this segment of the video, I'm going to show you a butt weld seam in a flat position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to weld the welding rod in flat position on the butt weld seam using two different kind of rods. I'm going to use a 6011 1/8" rod like this one here. And one thing to know about welding rods, every welding rod has a number on the end of it. This one has 6011, which indicates the tensile strength of the rod and the position of the welding rod. This indicates this rod is good up to 60,000 pounds per square inch tensile strength, and the number 11 on the end of it indicates that this is an all-position welding. Like I say, it's the same procedure as the 6011. Hold a close arc. Leave it back and forth. Now you may be asking yourself when you're welding, am I putting enough weld on this material? It's simple. If you're welding two pieces of 1/8" plate together, you would want to put a 1/8 weld on those two 1/8" plates. That means the height and the depth of the weld should be about 1/8". Same thing goes with 1/4". You want to put a 1/4" weld. 3/8 plate, you'd want to put a 3/8" weld, and so on and so on. That means the height of the weld and the depth of the weld should be equivalent to the thickness of the plate. If you're putting any more weld than that, if you're putting like a 1/4" weld on an 1/8" plate, you're wasting your time. I'm going to make a vertical weld going from the down position up with a 70/18 low hydrogen welding rod, 1/8" in diameter. I have the machine set at about 130 amps. This is a good strong welding rod. It's an all position rod, and a lot of your nuclear power plants were made with this welding rod. Watch how I do this. Like I say, you got to weave your weld. Watch your puddle. And I'm pretty fast with it. Side to side. If you've been having trouble with your welding rod sticking on the material and not being able to strike an arc like this, just release it from the plate. Now, if you strike an arc and your rod's sticking and you can't release the rod from the steel, then you're going to have to release the welding rod from the stinger. You may find yourself having to weld something other than flat plate together, such as round stock. I've got a 2 piece of 5/8 cold roll round, and I've got them V'd out, so I'm going to get a 100% weld in this rod. You want to weave the rod a little bit. You can only do a little section at a time because the rod there's not much material to actually weld onto to cover. Just got to do a little bit at a time. And you flip it around, weld it right back in here. Now this is done. Just drag it along the steel. Don't weave the rod.